Once upon a time, in the deep blue waters of the Mediterranean, there was a small rocky island called Ithaca. Ruling over it was Odysseus, a king renowned not so much for his physical strength as for his wisdom, cleverness, and sharp mind. When the great Trojan War came to an end, all the kings set off on their journey back home. But for Odysseus, this journey was destined to last 10 long years. It was a voyage filled with trials, monsters, and an unyielding desire to see his homeland once more, alongside his wife Penelope and his beloved son, Telemachus. His first stop was the island of the Cyclopes. There, Odysseus and his companions became trapped in the cave of Polyphemus, a giant cyclops with a single eye in the center of his forehead. Polyphemus was ruthless, but Odysseus used his intellect. He offered the giant sweet wine, and when asked for his name, he replied, "My name is Nobody." Later, after the giant fell asleep, Odysseus blinded him with a charred wooden stake. When Polyphemus screamed to the other Cyclopes that nobody was blinding him, they did not come to his aid. Thus Odysseus and his men escaped, hidden beneath the bellies of the giant's thick-fleeced sheep. However, Polyphemus was the son of Poseidon, god of the sea. Furious, the god swore to make Odysseus's journey an endless nightmare. The adventures knew no end. On the island of the sorceress Circe, his companions were transformed into swine, but with the help of the gods, Odysseus managed to break the spell and set them free. He journeyed to the dark edges of the underworld to seek a prophecy from the seer Tiresias, navigated past the sirens, binding himself to the ship's mast so as not to be lured away by their enchanting song, and escaped the deadly straits of Scylla and Charybdis. Despite all warnings, his exhausted companions made the fatal mistake of eating the sacred cattle of the sun god, Helios. The punishment was swift and severe. A violent storm destroyed their final ship, and all the men perished in the waves. As the sole survivor, Odysseus washed ashore on the island of the nymph Calypso, where he remained isolated for 7 long years. When the gods decided he had suffered enough, the goddess Athena intervened. Odysseus built a raft, and after surviving one final tempest, reached the hospitable island of the Phaeacians. There, King Alcinous listened to his story in awe and granted him a swift ship to finally carry him back to Ithaca. Arriving at his homeland after 20 years of absence, he found his palace overrun by arrogant suitors who were squandering his wealth and pressuring Penelope to marry one of them. Guided by Athena, Odysseus disguised himself as an old beggar to avoid detection. Faithful Penelope announced a contest. She would marry whichever man could string the heavy bow of Odysseus and shoot an arrow through the sockets of 12 axe heads. Not a single suitor had the strength to even bend the bow. Then, the disguised old man asked for a turn. With an effortless motion, he strung the bow, drew it back, and sent the arrow straight through the target. The disguise dissolved. The king revealed himself, and together with his son Telemachus, he punished the suitors, restoring order and peace to the island. The great journey had finally come to an end. Odysseus proved that no matter how fierce the storms of life may be, through patience, wisdom, and steadfast devotion to one's goal, every person can find their own Ithaca.